Blog Talk Radio.
Unmarket Your Business, the podcast, born out of the need to share strategies and techniques that really work to market your business. Think yellow page ads and cold calls are your only choices? That's so last century. You're about to learn tested, tried and true marketing techniques you can apply and master, ones that feel authentic instead of salesy, strategies that are true to who you are and how you want to present yourself to your ideal clients. Let's join our host, Carol Joyce Dunlop, in the studio now and allow business success to move forward. Hey everyone, it's Carol J. Dunlop. I am your hostess with the mostess for this episode of my show, Unmarket Your Business. It's so funny, the guest that I have coming on, she sent me her information about the description for the podcast, and it so mirrored what I was already talking about. I was like, we're sisters under the skin somewhere. I know. So I can't wait to get her on, and she's already laughing and stuff, and she's I think a ball of fire, a lot of fun. I'm in her Facebook group, Biz Women Rock. I love it. I love her. It's just awesome. So without any further ado, I don't have anything else to say. Anyway, I'm going to bring Katie Krimitsos. Am I saying it right? I hope.
That was perfect, girl. I am very, very, very impressed.
Yay, thank you, Katie. I'm so happy that you're here. I love to have people who have energy and are on fire and are talking about business women, biz women, and how we can do this doggone thing, because that's what it's all about. Women is what it's all about right now anyway.
I love it. Well, I am honored that you're having me here, Carol. I'm so love this. And I also, too, obviously have a passion for women who really love business and totally geek out on everything business. So, dude, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it for real. So before we get into the meat of what we're talking about, which is how to put podcasting into your marketing toolkit, which we both know works, I want you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how great you are and all that, and we're going to get right into what we're talking about here.
Well, thank you. So I obviously own a company called Biz Women Rock, and I was an entrepreneur since 2009. And then in 2014, branched off from the company that my husband and I owned here locally, and did my own thing with Biz Women Rock. And it started with a podcast, which is why I'm so ridiculously passionate about podcasting as a medium to share a message with the world. But I didn't know what the heck I was doing with it back then. But I had this podcast. It was sort of the marriage of two loves that I had in my life, which was business and women. And so I was like, okay, I just want to shine the light on awesome women entrepreneurs. And so that's what I started with. And over these past 4 years, that podcast is the reason that I have an entire business. It literally helped me initially sort of get out there to people who would have known me, and then strategically really built a whole community around that, who then was sort of telling me what they needed and wanted. And my business has been in the learning how to cultivate that community, learning how to listen deeply to what my women entrepreneurs are really needing along their journeys, and providing that. And it's awesome. I love it.
I love it, too. I'm so glad you did that. And I want to key in on something you said. You didn't know what the heck you were doing. None of us need to know what the heck we're doing. You know, when we get out there and we start something, it's just because we love it, or we know that we have a message, or we know that we can help others. Because that's one of the flaws, the good things and the bad things about being a woman. We want to help everybody, and we forget we forget about how to help ourselves. But I also want to say that you don't have to know everything. You just get out there and start doing it, and you learn along the way, and then you tell people, hey, I messed up, or I didn't do this right, but now, honey, I'm on fire. I got it, because I have something to share. When I first started this, it was great. I was awesome computer, online, cool. I'm the online person, good. But about 2 months ago, my computer crashed, and my hard drive crashed, rather. My husband, who's a tech guru, he actually. I know everything. Just we don't even want to go into that. But anyway, the thing crashed, so I had to move to another computer. And so I thought that all my settings were the same. Little did I know that my microphone setting was not. So my microphone was set on the wrong microphone. It was picking up everything. I mean, if a cat cried 2 miles away, it was picking that up. And I didn't know because, you know, when you're doing, because I do this live, not, you know, recording and stuff.
Yep.
So then one guest, probably about 3 shows later, one guest said, Carol, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm like, what? So I listened in. I was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. What have I done? But you know what I did?
That's funny. That's really funny.
I apologized, kept on rolling. Next time it was fixed, and boom, there you go. What else you going to do, you know?
Girl, I mean, if there's anyone who thinks that I have it all put together or that, like, I've got it all, like, I've figured it all out, like, just turn around and walk away now because you are fooling yourself. Like, I might be, you know, almost a decade in business, but there are lessons that I am constantly learning. And usually I learn those lessons because I screwed something up or, you know, I'm learning the lesson because something I was trying didn't work out and, you know, always needing to sort of pivot and figure it out. But yeah. And, you know, circling back around, I didn't know what I was doing 4 years ago when I launched a podcast. And while I do believe that it is important to take action towards what you think you want or the direction that you want to go.
Right.
I have learned, though, that, you know, should I have done it differently? I would have been a little bit more strategic and a little bit more purposeful with what I was doing. Even though it never turns out exactly like we originally planned, because there's no way that we can know what 4 years from now looks like, what our life, you know, like 4 years ago, I didn't have a kid. Now I have a 2-year-old daughter. 4 years ago, you know, I wasn't standalone in my business. I was still sort of half in the business that my husband and I had and half in Biz Women Rock. And now I'm like full on in Biz Women Rock. Like there's so many changing parts about this entire journey that, but, you know, it's still important to be purposeful about what actions that we are taking.
Right, exactly. That's why I loved when you wrote me back with the description, you know, being authentic. All those words just resonated with me because that's why I started this thing in the first place. I mean, I wrote the book of the same name, Unmarket Your Business, just to show women mainly how to market their business. It's not scary. You can do stuff that's low cost, no cost, you know, easy to get started. You just got to get going. And when you said that, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And then you said, let's talk about podcasting. I was like, oh, this is a girl after my own heart here. Let's do this. So let's talk about your podcast. I know you got it started 4 years ago. So what type of podcast is it? Is it live? Is it recorded? Just tell us all the good things about it, and then we're going to break it down a little bit.
Yeah, so structurally the way it works is that it's not done live, it's recorded, and it goes out, every episode goes out once a week, every Monday morning, and it's, you know, vast majority of people listen via iTunes, but you can listen on Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you want, or on my website, and when it started, the format of the show was 99.9% interview, meaning I was bringing on women to talk about
Uh-oh, I think we lost Katie. Oh, no. She dropped off. That's what happens with live recording sometimes. I don't know what happened. I hope she's going to call back in really, really soon because she was and I hope that she realizes she's not online right now because sometimes you don't realize you're not online and you just keep talking. I think I've got her phone number. Let me see if I can text her really quickly. But this is what happens on live podcast and probably why she doesn't do hers live. But just hang out with us just for a sec. She'll be right back. I know she will. But I am going to I've got her number. Let me text her. Sometimes it happens. Hold one sec. This is all about how live stuff goes. And she was just in the middle of giving us some great stuff too, you know. So hang on for one sec. Let me text. Copy. Got my phone out. That's why we always have this contact stuff, because if something happens, can get and she may not even be listening right now. Hold up. Oh, jeez. Okay. I am texting her now. So she was talking about, let me just continue on here. Let me see if I can give her a call real quick also. Hold on a sec, guys. Sorry for the laws. Oh, man, we were just into it, right? So I'm dialing her now, so hold on 1 second. Because she may not even know she's dropped. Yeah. Okay. She's not on her phone right now, so let's see. Hopefully she'll call back in. So what I want to say, all right, let me gather myself together. Let me woo-side for a second. Hold on. All right. Now, I know that she was going to say, I have this. Oh, I think she's back. Hold on a second. Katie?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Sorry. You know what? I bet you finished your whole dissertation by the time you feel like, why isn't Carol saying anything? She's awful quiet on that other end.
I'm like, does she really want me to say anything?
Yeah. You know, I'm so transparent on my show because this is live. I love live, but this is what happens with live. Sometimes things go crazy. They don't do what you want. They go crazy. And I was saying that's probably why she records her thing and puts it out, because if something happens. But anyway, let's move forward. We're right here listening. So you had started, when you dropped off, you were saying it goes out at 12 o'clock, and then there was darkness. We didn't hear anything else.
Oh, my gosh, I was talking a long time. I am sorry. Holy cow.
It's okay.
So I think what I was saying is that, it goes out once a week. And, generally people are really listening through iTunes, getting subscribed there so they get it automatically coming to their phones, or Spotify or Stitcher, or however people want to listen. And when the show started out, the format was vast majority of the format was really interviews with other really great women entrepreneurs. And over the years, it's really evolved into a mixture of a bunch of different types of shows so that I can really give my listeners what they need. And so some of those are, interviews about the journey. Some of those are life coaching sessions, for example, so women can hear their issues getting strategized out. And it gives them a really good insight as to how I work as a coach and strategist. Some of them are like bringing on experts and talking about how-to stuff. So, over the years, that's really what it's become.
Cool. I love that you put the coaching in there, too, as part of the podcast. I listened to one guy who did that, but he was boring as all get out. Oh, my God. It was like, get him off of this podcast. You really need to do that. But I know that would not happen with you. I know just because of your personality. But his personality was kind of like, okay, like,
No, they're fun, and for as we're talking marketing, so using a podcast for marketing, I was terrified to do it, to be honest with you, because it's incredibly vulnerable. Like, letting people listen in on how I coach and strategize with women, like, that's really like, oh my God, what if I don't say the right thing? And this is I'm recording this. But so it takes a lot of courage to actually press record and do that. But it has proven to be one of the most sticky ways to bring in business for coaching, because women are listening, and they're listening for two reasons. Number one is that they are hearing a challenge that they have through the experience of somebody else. So it's much like a hot seat, like if you've ever been part of a mastermind, you're listening in on somebody else's hot seat. You're like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm going through. So you can hear it get unraveled and figured out, kind of a step away from you, so you can take it all in. But it's, if you provide any type of coaching or consulting or strategizing services, it is a phenomenal way to give people an introduction and a feel and a touch for how you work, because, by the time they're reaching out and asking me about coaching, I don't have to sell them. They already know how I work. They already know how my brain goes. They already know if they resonate with me. And all we're doing is figuring out timing. That's all we're doing.
I love that. How did you come up with that idea? Because that is so unique. Although, like I said, I've heard it before, but how did you come up with that and then put it into the marketing plan to make it work?
Yeah, so I can't take credit for it. I mean, there are definitely other podcasters who I've seen do this way before me. I was a part of a mastermind myself. I was participating in it, and another one of my mastermind members also has a podcast, and she was starting to do it, and she was just like, "Oh my God, this is great!" And I was like, it was probably a solid 6 months or a year that she was like trying to edge me on to do it, and I was like, "No,
really?
I'll do that later. I'll do that later." And then finally, I was like, "Okay, I'm just going to do this." So, but you know, it is done very strategically. You know, I knew I couldn't record or I knew I didn't want to record the sessions with my current clients because there was no backdrop to that. Like there was no start or finish because we were already months into working together. So people they couldn't come in the middle of a conversation. So the way that I strategically did this from a marketing perspective was that I put a call out to all the ladies who are on my email list, all the ladies who are in my private Facebook group, and I just said, hey, if you want a chance to be featured on the show and get a free, 25, 30-minute strategy session with me, fill out this application. And then I was very specific in that application of saying, hey, listen, we can't solve the world's problems in 30 minutes of a strategy session, but if you choose one idea, concept, challenge that you're having, and we'll focus in on that and strategize through that. And then what I did is I filtered through all these applications and I deliberately chose ones that represented all sorts of different challenges that I knew would be representative of the larger community out there. So, and that's what I did.
Wow. I love that idea. I must say I'm going to have to steal it though. I really am because
steal it, please. It's awesome. And, doing coaching and strategy that you do as well. Like there's no, like people will resonate with you. They'll get to see into what you do. I mean, how many times if you're like, going and about to buy something and you're like, I want to see how it works first, and that's the perfect way. Exactly. I know I haven't quite done this yet, but like there are people that I know who put, probably their top 3 most favorite strategy sessions or live coaching calls on their work with me page. And that's, hey, you want a little sample of how I work? Like, hey, go listen to these, these top 3 things that are like the biggest pain points of, what your community is dealing with.
That is like brilliant. I really think that you were guided here today to talk about that so that we can show people, I'm saying how divine intervention works. You just never know. And, one thing I want to say, too, with the marketing your business, you never know really what's going to work for you until you just actually do it, test it, take it back a little bit, tweak it some, put it out there again, and work with it. Because nowadays there are so many things that you could do to put your name out there, get yourself out there. Everybody's always talking about, well, hook up with an influencer who has thousands of people and get in with them. Oh, yeah, just go to any influencer and just ask them, can I just get in with you? Well, what is that going to do? People are saying, what? What are you talking about? But I think when you get up close and personal, like you and I are talking, because I'm in your group, I've seen your posts, shared some stuff, see the wonderful, awesome women who are in the group. And I just reached out one day because I'm like, it was something, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was some post that you put up about something. I was like, oh, I'm just going to ask her. Didn't know you from anyone else besides, being a member of the group. And I'm here to tell y'all, she's a real person. She is really real. Listen to her talk right here.
I'm real. I'm not a robot.
I know she's not. So, okay, so now we're talking about using podcasting in our marketing. There's one, we could interview people. We could do our strategy sessions with people. So how else have you used the podcasting to help grow your business and make it a permanent part of your marketing toolkit?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you a couple of really creative things that I love experimenting with. So the number one is advertising for yourself on your show and not being scared to do that. So what that means is typically people think of, podcast and the way to monetization through podcast. The very first word that always comes out of people's mouth is advertising or sponsorship. And while I have had sponsors in the past, and I'm super grateful, and it was wonderful while it was there, what I came to realize, and this is not to say I won't ever have a sponsor again, but what I came to realize is that, hey, I have the ideal woman who gets the most out of what I offer. Why don't I talk about what I offer? And perhaps I can be the advertiser of my own show. And it sounds so simple, but it's worth noting that getting creative with that. So this is the fun part. This is the marketing part, is getting creative with how I am marketing my own products and services. So I'll give you this example. I produce Masterminds. One of the many resources that I provide for women entrepreneurs are Masterminds. And so one of the creative things that I did and how I used it on my podcast, or how I used my podcast for it, was I had done sort of a trial. I had been running Masterminds for 9 years, but very locally. Mm-hmm. And so last year was the first time that I officially did and was like, okay, I'm going to try a mastermind just for Biz Women Rock. I did it. It was amazing. It was mind-blowing. Totally was like, oh, my God, okay, this needs to be an anchor part of my business. This is great. Mm-hmm. So what I did, there were 4 ladies in last year's mastermind. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get another 6 months, 2 more. I want to fill 2 more groups for the beginning of 2018, and that would be perfect. And so what I did is I created little mini snippet advertisements that went on the beginning of the show. So it was like 1 to 2 minutes, just me talking about like why you would even want to participate in a mastermind. On a few of those, I think I snipped in a couple of like mini testimonials from each of the women. Mm-hmm. And then what I did is I asked each of the women if they would do a Facebook Live with me about their experience. And so it started as a Facebook Live. I did 2 one week and 2 the next week. And the reason it started out as a Facebook Live is because I wanted to just start it there. I recorded it. I had my mic, so there was good audio. I recorded it, and I called it Inside a Mastermind series because, with the concept of like how many people actually know what it's really like to be in a mastermind, I'm gonna share through education what that is, not through my experience, like not through me telling you, but through all these women who had just gone through this experience. So each of them came on, we did this really great conversation, boosted all those posts for Facebook, right? And then took that audio, and once all those 4 were done, boom, put them out on the podcast as a 4-part series, as like a bonus episode or bonus series, and talked all about that. And they were like front to back, all that content. And totally like went outside the scope of what my normal, quote unquote, normal podcast production calendar really is, which is great because it's a nice pattern interrupt. So that's just one example of what I've done. And, and then I'll give you another great example. So next week, I have a solo episode coming up. I try to do one a month just so that it continues to sort of position me as an expert and make sure that people know who I am, and I'm constantly talking to them solo one-on-one. And so what I'm doing is, because this February, the month that we're in right now, marks the 4-year anniversary of when my first podcast episode went out. So
awesome! Congratulations!
Thank you. It's a big deal. So I'm giving 4 lessons I've learned in business in 4 years. And then what I did is I posted in my group and I sent out to my email list, ladies, I want to hear your number 1 lesson you've learned in business so far. Here's my Google Voice number. Call in, leave me a 1 to 2 minute message. I want to hear from you. So I'm gathering all those up right now. And so that when I produce my show, later on today, and I record that show, I can gather all of those little mini snippets, and the end of the show will literally be a crowdsourcing of all these incredible lessons, and it perfectly fits into everything that I just talked about. The benefit of that, marketing-wise, is that, A, I get to highlight my community. So anyone who's listening is like, oh, she really has other listeners. That's kind of cool. This is kind of it. But what it does is it deepens the sense of belonging in my community, because I do care so deeply that I want to represent these women. I am here to shine a light on other women and raise women up together. And so this is one way that I get to do that. And it gives me more credibility, and it allows people to see that at my core, I'm a community builder. At my core, I'm an advocate. At my core, I am somebody who believes in that when we help each other, we bring everyone up. So, practically speaking, every single woman that is being featured in that gets a particular link, and they get to share it on out, and that gets put out to their community. So it's a really just fun and creative way to sort of get the word out there even broader.
And it's a win-win, because your community knows that you care about them. That's the feeling that I got when I became a member of the group, that you really care. You have passion, and now you're giving your community a chance to shine individually, because their voice could be on there like, listen to me, because everybody loves to be showcased. They love to be called out.
Totally.
And You know, it's one of those things. That's brilliant. Those are two brilliant, awesome ideas. I'm definitely stealing from you. I'm just letting you know.
Yay!
I'm going to post in the group today.
Good.
I'm stealing in a good way. In a good way, because I love
it.
Yeah, the ideas really don't belong to us. They belong to everyone. If we share enough, if we give enough, we just can't hold in ourselves all the stuff that comes back to us from just giving. You know? That's how I feel anyway.
Yep. Yep. It's so true.
Well,
it's so very true.
It is, and we're sharing, and I love that you came on and you shared that with us and stuff. So we come down to the very end, and I want to give you a chance to tell people how they can get more of you, because you got some great stuff going on. Tell us how we can get in contact with you, how people can work with you, whatever you want to share.
Awesome. Yeah, so my home is at bizwomenrock.com. And I know Carol put that in the link here to this exact show, so you guys can just click on there. You can also find me on Facebook, in the free Facebook group that Carol's talking about is really where I live a lot. So I'm constantly in there. You know, you are there with 5,000 other business women who are all over the world in all sorts of different industries. And you can easily connect there and become a member of that group for free at bizwomenrock.com/group.
Yes, it is awesome. It really is. Because sometimes, you know, when you join like big groups and stuff, you never know quite what the vibe is in there. But I'm telling you, from the time that I joined and really just kind of, I've been lurking a little bit, and I talk about lurking in my book and how you figure out what the group's all about, you know, who's there, who are the influencers, what people are doing, so that you don't just, you know, go jumping in and say, hey, I'm here. You kind of know a little bit about what you're doing before you jump in there. I found out that the energy was great. People were very helpful. And like you say, you do live in there, and you do a lot of stuff. Yeah. And what made me feel so welcome and so good is that I put out this invitation to come on the podcast, and you accept it right away. No him and no han, no anything. And I'm like, okay, I like this girl. And then, you know, just as much as I've gotten to know you in the time that we have today, I figured out that I really like you. You're awesome. So, hey.
Well, I really like you, too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I mean, this is why we do what we do, right? Like, this,
yes.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, for me, it is all about the connection, and it's all about relatability, and it's all about learning from each other and connecting hearts, and whatever way you decide to do that, you know, like I do that through business because that is a big love of mine. There are some people who do it through, you know, their particular product or their particular service or their particular industry. But at the end of the day, like, that's what it's all about. It's people, it is heart connection, and it is making sure that we're, you know, giving to this world in a meaningful way.
Exactly, because the heart is where it's at. You know, we look at online, I guess, relationships and online communities, and we think we're just people sitting behind this big screen, but there's an actual person behind every single screen, and if you make time to connect with them in whatever way that you can, you get so much out of that, probably stuff that you never even thought of. You know, like in my group, for instance, the group that I have, some people, you know, if I'm not in there all the time, some people will post some other stuff, and people will say, Carol, are you allowing them to post that? And I'm like, well, yeah, sometimes I do. You know, you just kind of kind of go with the flow. But that's how this podcast came about, you know, just kind of going with the flow. But, Katie, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day. Sorry we had that little hiccup, but, you know, technology works kind of crazy sometimes, you know. But it's okay.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. And I will be seeing you in the group and learning more about all that I can do to help the other women that are there, because I'm all about helping myself. But thank you so much, and we will be connecting some more.
Awesome. Carol, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure and honor to be here.
Yes, definitely. All right, talk soon. Thanks, everyone, for joining in, and be sure you tune in again next week. We're going to have another great guest on. So go out there and connect with somebody. Do some great things. The world is waiting for you. Thanks for listening. We truly appreciate it. For information about guests, products, or services that were mentioned in this episode, log on to our website at www.csicorporation.com/unmarketing. To learn more, get a glimpse of our upcoming schedule, and join the unmarketing nation of entrepreneurs who are using marketing techniques that work right now. Until next time, keep moving forward.